Samoa to serve in Congress, and she is our champion for Bernie. Let's give it up one more time. You know, this is all about us taking back our democracy, and our democracy vision is laid out in those first three words of the Constitution, and those words are?
We the people.
What is it?
We the people.
We the people. You know, the founders, when they wrote the Constitution, they put those three words in supersized print, and then they gave the rest. They wanted to say, you know, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, people look at the Constitution, they go, oh, that's what it's all about. It is not we the powerful. It is not we the privileged.
Nope.
It is we the people. In fact, Jefferson called it the mother principle. He said we can claim to be a republic only to the degree that the decisions of government benefit the will of the people. And he said that key to that is that the citizens have an equal voice. And what he envisioned was here in a community square when people are campaigning, everyone has a chance to make their case. But something happened along the way. And what happened is the community square became television and radio, and those cost a lot of money. And then you have this decision, Buckley versus Vallejo, 40 years ago, that took the cap off what rich individuals could spend. And then Citizens United, that took the cap off what corporations can spend. In other words, our democracy is now up for sale. Yeah. And that means it's been stood on its head, and we the people has become we the powerful. But this campaign is about taking our nation back. Let's do it. So when you have a we the people government, the government serves the people. And let me ask you, is the government serving the people when it does trade deals that send our jobs overseas? No! How about when every year Congress enacts big subsidies to big oil? No! Or how about when women only earn 72 cents for the same job that men do? No! Or when our children have to incur a debt the size of a mountain in order to get the education they need to pursue their dreams? No! Mass incarceration that drains our budgets and damages so many lives? No! And I'll tell you, it's very personal to me, and I so much appreciated Margot Black's comments about housing, because I spent years working with Habitat for Humanity and developing housing and starting individual development account programs that would enable people to buy homes. What we have right now is the wealth of America collectively is going up, up, up. And the homeless population is going up, up, up. What is wrong with that picture? How is it that affluent America is squeezing the middle class into basically the streets where people have to live on the sidewalk? That is just wrong. We have to change that. There should be a decent home and a decent community for every single American family. Now, here's the problem. For 30 years after World War II, Americans, all who worked to build the wealth of America, they participated in the wealth. And there's a huge change in standard of living over those 3 decades. And we all thought that would continue. You know, it's 1945, 1975. Then 1975 to now, 41 years, 4 decades. Guess what? 100% of the new income has gone to the top 10%. That's in America. That leaves 9 out of 10 individuals out in the cold. That is not we the people democracy. How about an America that brings 10 out of 10 out of the cold into the community and helps them prosper? Now, these trade deals have been designed to benefit wealthy multinational corporations so they can make stuff in the cheapest place in the world, lowest labor standards, lowest environmental standards, lowest enforcement, and they can sell it at the world price. Okay, that's great if you own a multinational corporation. Anybody here own one? Well, okay, maybe a few shares here or there of stock, but here is the underlying fact that if you do that, you lower labor, you lower environment, you take those jobs, you ship them overseas, and you undermine the success of millions of families because there is no government program that can substitute for a living wage job. We want those jobs back. Yeah. may have just heard that one more company carrier is shipping their manufacturing to Mexico because it's a lot cheaper to make things there because of the low wages, low environmental standards, and law enforcement. You may have heard that there's a strike, and we heard from Larry Cohen about the issues that are being raised with Verizon and Verizon shipping jobs to call centers overseas. I'd like to call an American call center when I have problems with my cable or my web. Bernie gets this, and he gets the fact that we have to stop burning fossil fuels if we're going to save our planet. We see here in Oregon the impact of global warming as much as anywhere. We see it in the red forest, the red zone of the trees that are being killed by pine beetles because it's not cold enough to kill the pine beetles in the winter. We see it in the fact that we've had the droughts in the Klamath Basin, 3 worst ever droughts in a 15-year period. We see it by the fact our oysters on the coast are having trouble reproducing because the ocean is 30% more acidic now because the carbon dioxide becomes carbonic acid than it was before we started burning coal. So we see it in place after place after place. And we are the generation that's experiencing this. We have to be the generation to take a fast pivot from fossil fuels to renewable fuels, and in the process, create millions of jobs. It's a win-win. Bernie Sanders was there on the Keystone Pipeline. He understood that we shouldn't turn the faucet on to the dirtiest fossil fuels on the planet. He was there. He supported my bill on ending the drilling in the Arctic. And then I put forward a bill called Keeping the Ground. Keeping the Ground. You and I, as citizens, we own a lot of coal, a lot of oil, a lot of gas. Maybe you hadn't thought of it that way, that you are participating as an owner of a vast reserve of fossil fuels. Well, the public good for what you and I own is to keep it in the ground. That's right. So I called up Bernie. I said, we're going to announce the Keeping the Ground bill that says all of our citizen-owned should be left in the ground, no new leases. And he said, I'll be there. And he was there. That's the type of leadership we need. And he understands the point that Tulsi is making, that we're misspending our resources. $100 billion a year on the war in Afghanistan, a war badly conceived. The war in Iraq, the war in Syria. Well, here's the thing. Think about what $100 billion would do if $30 billion went to education, and $30 billion went to infrastructure, and $30 billion went to reducing the debt. I really appreciate Bernie taking on the role of campaign cash. Now, we saw it in the 2014 election not long ago. We saw the Koch brothers spent an enormous sum of money. And they spent that money on Senate races because they wanted to control the U.S. Senate. And here's what happened. They won in Arkansas. They won in Louisiana. They won in North Carolina. They won in Iowa. They won in Colorado. They won in Alaska. But where did they lose? Oregon. Thank you all for kicking the Koch brothers out of our state. But it's not enough to kick them out of Oregon. We got to kick them out of the nation. And part of that is what Bernie's campaign is about in reforming the way that money is in politics. It's been an incredible example to us all. So, who is really fighting to create an American economy that works for working Americans? Bernie! Who is really fighting to reverse trade deals that are sending our jobs overseas? Bernie! Who's really fighting to end mass incarceration? Bernie! To end pay discrimination? Bernie! To end the subsidies to big oil? Bernie! And to unite citizens to tear down Citizens United? Bernie! You know, when Bernie was here in March, he was speaking, and a bird flew down to his podium.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
I got one of the Bernie birds on right there. maybe just a little symbol that here in Oregon, not only the people understand that we have to change things, even our wildlife understands that we have to change things. So we have 14 days from now to the election. 14 days to walk and to talk. We have got to canvass and turn people out. We've got to be on the phone banks. I know I saw a bunch of hands raised for tonight. How about in the next 3 days, how many of you can walk or talk, phone bank, or go north to north? Let's applaud these folks. We need them so much. It is the 18th state tonight, I think, if I had that right, Larry. 18th night, Indiana. We were driving out, Larry and I were driving up from Eugene, and we keep checking, and the race hasn't been called, but the race goes up, well, it head by 4.4, and then 4.6, and 4.8. And, okay, but still there was a very conservative county that we were worried about, still hadn't reported. So it is so exciting. You know, the polls had him substantially down. Right. And he won. He won. And then on to West Virginia next Tuesday. And then on to Oregon the Tuesday after. If Bernie wins in West Virginia, we think he will, then we would be the 20th state, or we could be the 20th state. How about we make sure we win by at least 20% and be the 20th state who will endorse Bernie Sanders. And that's how we reclaim our We the People democracy. Right. One door, one small donation, one phone call, one encouragement to friends, one lawn sign so your neighbors ask you why you're supporting Bernie. It matters a hell of a lot for the generations to come. I'm so glad to see the children out tonight. Thank you so much. And is anyone else speaking? No. Well, let's just end with a little bit of Bernie. Bernie, 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 Bernie.